All right, howdy once again. Howdy. All right, it's a cowboy movie, I guess. This movie, we're gonna go through this video. We're gonna go through retouching tools. Just kind of take a tour of those and see how they work a little bit. So we're gonna go over the ContentAware Move tool, which lets you move content and kind of fills in the space that's left over. We're gonna use ContentAware Fill, which fills in the space and deletes whatever you've kind of selected. You'll see what I mean by that in a little bit. We're going to try the spot healing brush maybe a couple times for some different elements. The healing brush, which is similar but gives you more control, but also is a little less automated. The patch tool is good for larger areas that you want to cover over. And then the clone stamp tool is really for kind of copying and pasting, or not really copying pixels and moving them around and painting with different parts of the image, if you want to think of it that way. All right, so yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start with this image here, which you have, I think, or hopefully. And what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to go to the layers palette and just duplicate that layer, just because I want to have a backup of my original layer or my original image. Because we are changing pixels here, it is going to permanently kind of change the pixels that we're working with. So just to have a backup, you can copy the layer, and now we have a kind of a backup layer. So if I change my mind about part of this, I can always go back. But that's pretty much it for the layers palette. So first thing I'm going to do is try the ContentAware Move tool. So I'm going to go zoom in on this area. You can do Command plus or minus. You can also, if you have a scroll wheel, you can hold down Option and zoom in like that, so that I get kind of zoomed in on that area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click and drag around this element that I want to move. Don't ask me why I want to move it. I'm just a little bit weird that way. So I gave it a little bit of extra space. A lot of these tools will work better if there's some clean area around the object that you're trying to work with. I could have done it this way and done a tighter selection. Since this is kind of a rectangle, this tool works pretty well for that. Then I could always go up to select and modify and expand. So I think your book says like try 4 pixels, but it really kind of depends on the image, depends on the resolution and things like that. I'm gonna expand by 5, and really again what I want is I want some clean pixels around the edge, not a selection right around the thing I want to move. So now I'm gonna go underneath the spot healing brush here, and there is a ContentAware Move tool. So all I do is click on this guy, drag it to where I want to move it. I'm just going to drag it to the right a little bit, and nothing happens. I think I'm on the wrong layer. Let me escape from that and go back to my layers and make sure I'm on the top layer. I was on the background layer, which I couldn't see the move because it was underneath this one. Okay, so make sure you're on this top layer by just clicking on it there. And let's try this again. All right, so I've got my selection around this guy with a little bit of extra space. I've got my ContentAware Move tool there. I'm gonna click and drag to the right and let go. And then I get these little control handles. I could resize this thing if I wanted to as I move it, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna hit Enter on my keyboard. So I hit Enter and voila. This is now clear over here, and this is moved over here. Now, before I deselect this guy, I've got some options up at the top. I got a mode up here. I'm gonna leave this on move. So basically I'm moving something, I wanna leave it on move. If you extend, you can basically resize something, kind of expand it. So if I had like an ocean that I wanted to be bigger along the side or something, I could try extend. You're not going to use that one too much probably, but that's kind of what it's for, is to expand an area instead of move an area. So I'm moving it, so I'm going to leave it on move. I also have 2 other options here, and this is, you probably should have this file, which talks about what these 2 options are. I've got structure and color up here at the top. So structure is talking about how closely the patch should reflect existing image patterns. What does that mean? It means, how much is it going to try to copy one area to another? So the existing pixels. So basically you got to just try the numbers and see how it works. So we'll do that in a second. The second number is color. That one goes from 0 to 10. Don't ask me why this one goes 1 to 7 and 0 to 10. That's kind of random, right? But This one is how closely you want Photoshop to apply the color blending to the patch. So it's trying to blend the colors in the patch, and how is it doing that mathematically. Again, you're not gonna know what the number is that's gonna work until you try it probably. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this out of the way here. And I may have to do this over again. Let's see if it's actually working. Yeah, so since I went away to that file, yeah, see it took away my options here. So I'm gonna undo that, Command Option Z, and that is the step back. Command Option Z or Control Alt Z will step back. It steps back in my my history. So I want to do this again because when I went to that text file, it kind of undid some things. So I'm going to go ahead and move this guy again. You probably don't have to do this. You already did it. And then I'm going to hit enter. And before I accept that change, I can go up here and mess with this. Yeah, so you see how this is changing now? The edge of this is changing and this is changing. So if I mess with these numbers, it kind of adjusts things. So again, you kind of just do whatever looks the best to you. They don't look totally different, but I think maybe this lower numbers maybe look better on the structure for this one. I'm looking at this area. Well, maybe that's pretty good, I guess. And then color is more the color blending. So if I go all the way to the right, it looks like that. If I go all the way to the left, it looks like that. I mean, they're just kind of two different variations. So I'm going to go somewhere in the middle. It's fine. It's up to you. It really depends on the image and the textures and things like that. I'm going to try the structure a little bit higher. Yeah, I guess that was pretty good, about 3. So I'm doing about 3 for the structure and 5 for the colors. And that's it. So as long as and now if I hit enter and I can deselect actually, now it's done. It's finished. So there, I moved that guy. Now I feel so much better that it's in a different spot. Not really. Okay, so that was the ContentAware Move. So let's go ahead and try something else up here on this hideous stain. Maybe we can use some bleach on it. I don't know, we're gonna have to use some of these tools. So I'm gonna go up here to the top, to this guy right here. And we're gonna try 2 different things on this and see which one works better. Again, it's some of this is sort of trial and error, you know, what's gonna work better. So I'm gonna grab my lasso tool and select kind of a little bit outside of this stain. And just get a little bit of extra space there. And this time we're going to go ahead and select or use Fill, ContentAware Fill. So I'm gonna go up to Edit and then Fill. And then from the contents, it might say foreground color by default up here. You wanna choose ContentAware. Go ahead and check color adaptation to turn that on. And just say okay. And magically, it kind of replaced that or got rid of it, right? So it looks around the edges. That's what ContentAware means. It's looking around the edges of your selection and trying to copy that and get content from around it to fill in the gap. So that looks pretty good. I'm gonna undo that and try a different method. This time I'm going to go to the patch tool. And the patch tool is, I can use the same selection that I already had. The patch tool lets you kind of pick a different spot to copy from. So the patch tool has ContentAware built in. So up here in the top, it says ContentAware under the options. So it's using some of the same technology. So I'm gonna see what I can get. And I have a little more control with this, I think. So if I go like this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it up and down so that that line where the bricks edges are kind of similar, somewhere around there. I'm gonna let go. That may be a little bit better than the other one. I'm gonna deselect. Yeah, okay, so that looks okay. I can kind of see an edge to that a little bit, but it's not too bad. And I took some of this and I moved that, it moved some of this over there and kind of cleaned that up. I do see a little bit of an edge, so I can always go back in and try to clean this up a little bit more. So I'm gonna zoom in. And in this case, I can kind of see the edge of where I selected, right? So I'm gonna try a different tool. I'm gonna go to the spot healing brush. And, all right, sorry about that. I had to completely restart. That's what I get for updating some software before a video. Don't ever do that. All right, so was going to show you the spot healing brush, so that's right here. It does have a few options up here in the options bar. It has content aware, create texture, and proximity match. So here are the definitions for those. Create proximity match uses pixels around the edge of the selection to find an area to use as a patch. So it kind of just looks around wherever your area is that you're kind of trying to fix. The texture one tries to create a texture. That makes sense, right? And then ContentAware uses the same ContentAware Fill sort of algorithm that the ContentAware Fill does. Some of the same math to maintain key details such as shadows and object edges. We'll see if it does that. So those are the three options for that tool. They're right up here. Here's ContentAware, create texture, and proximity match. So I'm going to go ContentAware since that one probably will work the best. We'll see. And all I do is just make a brush that is slightly larger than whatever I want to fix. It actually works really well for things like this. Let's try it down here first. There's a big kind of hole in the wall. I hate that. So I'm just going to kind of click on it and paint over it. It's a little bit big. And it kind of goes away. It's good for stuff, holes in the wall, pimples, blemishes, unsightly stains on shirts, that kind of stuff. Wrinkles, all kinds of neat stuff. But let's see if it works up here. So I'm going to go up here and kind of click and drag around the edge there. I'm doing Command Z before and after. It's a little better, I guess. I'll try it over here on this side too, right there. Before and after, yeah, it's okay. I still see a little bit, so I'm going to try a different method on the other side. Underneath that is the healing brush. So the healing brush does not have content-aware technology in it. It's kind of the simple one, right? But it does give you a little more control. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to the right of this area here. I'll zoom in so you can see even better. And on this one, you have to hold down Option or Alt on a PC, and that tells you you're specifying the sampling point. So I'm just holding down, see how it changes into a crosshair. I'm going to click there, and now I'm going to go over here. Ah, that's kind of better, right? So there's before and after. It's not a huge deal, but it is a little bit better. You can also use it for things like this. Maybe I want to extend this line across there. See how the line kind of goes away between the bricks there? I'm going to go right here, and you get a preview also. And inside the brush, you see the preview inside there? So I'm just going to kind of go like that. I went too far. Let's try it again. Maybe one step too far again. Make a little bit smaller brush. You want to use the smallest brush you can kind of think of. There we go. So I just added that little line in there, and it's kind of using the texture, but also the lightness and values and colors and things from over here to go over there. Let's try it once more just to see how that works. I'm going to go over here, hold down the Option button, and then kind of go over this area to clean that up. Not that we needed to do that, but that's the difference. So the spot healing brush is kind of automated. You can just click on spot, more for spots and things, like there's a spot right there. I just clicked on it, it went away, right? If I use the healing brush, it's more control, but maybe not quite as sophisticated. But if you know what you want to do, it might be a little more useful that way. So that was that. So let's try one more tool. We kind of tried the patch. Let's try the patch again down here. This might be good for the patch. So I'm going to go down here to this hole in the wall right here, and I'm going to click underneath the healing brush and choose the patch tool, and you can make a selection right with that tool. It just acts like a lasso. So I'm just going to grab that, and then once you get that, you can move it to another area, and it kind of gives you a preview. There we go. So it didn't actually take the spots. It doesn't take it directly. It uses ContentAware to get you a good match as far as textures go and everything. So that's pretty good. That's pretty clean there. And again, if I wanted to clone some of this or fix some of these edges, I could do that too. So let me show you one last tool here. Let's say I wanted to take some of this line here and directly copy it over there. I'm going to go down below here to the clone stamp tool. So there's the clone stamp tool. I'm going to go right above here, and it works a little bit like the spot healing brush, but this is going to copy everything exactly. Actually, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to use some of this line to paste in this line. So I'm going to go right over here, make a brush that's slightly larger than this area here, hold down Option, And that gives me my sampling point. And then I can see, I can kind of paint with that area. So if you saw that, it's hard to see. Let me do it again here. So I'm sampling from right here, and I get a preview over here. You see how that preview works? And then as I click and drag, watch over here, and you'll see the sampling point moves along with my brush. That is as long as this aligned checkboxes up here is working. So I'm gonna click right here, go across. That's pretty good. So I just kind of put in some of the crack again that was erased by our last move with the previous tool. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. So let's try one more thing, maybe two. I'm gonna zoom in on this sign. Now, some of this stuff is gonna have more trouble. Some of these tools are gonna have more trouble when you have more going on, right? So we moved that one earlier, and it did a pretty good job, but now we've got all these wires and things. So let's see how this one goes. I'm gonna go right around here and just get a little bit of extra space. Remember we said that kind of works pretty well. And I'm gonna go with ContentAware Move because I decided I want to move this sign for some reason. So I'm gonna go ContentAware Move tool, and I'm going to come up here and move it about right there. Then I hit enter, and it moved it, right? So there's the new position for it. It did a little bit of strangeness there with the edge of the letter G. I'm not sure where that came from. But here's the spot where it was. I'm just gonna go ahead and accept that. Deselect, and now it's moved. So if I wanted to clean this area up now, it's gonna be more complicated, right? Why is it gonna be more complicated? Because I had wires and things going over. Here's the wire, right? There's the wire that was going over that sign right there. It was right here. So what are my options? I can either get rid of the whole wire if I want, try to do that with the clone stamp tool, or I can try to paint in the wire back in, for example. That would be another option. So let's say I'm gonna try the two tools here. I'm gonna go with the healing brush, and I'm gonna put some of this edge of this brick back in because it's kind of got erased here, right? So I'm gonna go right here and sample. I've got my healing brush, and I'm gonna go right here and hold down Option and sample from there, and then I'm gonna go right here and kind of put that back in. I kind of missed a little bit. Let's try that one more time. Let's go right on top of this line with a little smaller brush. Zoom in even more here. I don't want a brush that's too big and starts getting some of this stuff too. So I'm gonna go right here, sample right on that line, go down here, and you see how the line is kind of following the top line? There, I kind of put that back in. Now I've got this, which looks like, oh, he copied that, right? If I want to get rid of that, I'm gonna go right underneath here to the spot healing brush. Let's try that. Oh, there we go. I just clicked right on it. It kind of fudged it a little bit so it doesn't look like a direct copy there. I can also use the spot healing brush probably on this. I'm gonna get rid of this by just clicking and dragging along it. Yeah, it's better than it was. You can kind of tell I did something if you zoomed in and we're really kind of crazy about it. Let's try this one. There. It's okay. Let's try the healing brush again. I'm gonna go here and sample from there. Yeah, I'm gonna undo that, Command Z. So you kind of just have to play around a little bit. I'm gonna go over here and use some of this area. So you kind of decide where you want to use the pixels from. Actually, I'll go way over here. See if I get a little cleaner. It's not too bad. Okay, so this little, yeah, maybe I want to get rid of all this. If I try to do all that, it's kind of going away, but I could also try again the clone stamp tool. Here's the clone stamp tool right there, right? I'm going to go here. Let's say I'm going to use some of this area again. It's kind of like doing a transplant or a graft, a skin graft, right? So I just clicked and sampled over here, and I'm going to go like that. That's pretty good. So I'm getting rid of all those wires. So I've decided I'm going to get rid of the wires, I guess. Clone stamp tool again. With this tool, the closer you can get kind of to where you're trying to copy from, the better. If you make a mistake and it didn't work, just undo, Command Z. So I think you get the idea on that one. Once we moved it, we can kind of try to clean that area up and make it look not quite so fake. But there we go. So that's pretty good. We moved this guy over using ContentAware Move. We got rid of this big hideous stain, this blemish up here. You could use the patch tool for that. Remember that one, you just select and then move your selection to another area and it kind of patches it using that area. That does use ContentAware, so it's kind of like directed ContentAware if you want to think of it that way. If you just do ContentAware Fill, if you selected that and did ContentAware Fill, it's just going to automate everything for you. So let's do one more just to make sure you know how that works. I'm going to go up here to the lasso tool. Let's say we want to get rid of this little thing here. I'm going to grab this. Actually, I'm going to go, yeah, that's good. I'm going to grab this and go right around there. Then I'm going to go to, and you want a little bit of extra space around it, ContentAware Fill, or Fill, and then choose ContentAware. Say OK. Yeah, pretty good. Deselect with Command D to deselect, and there you go. So I got rid of that. Not that that wall looks much better, but you get the idea. So those are some of the tools as far as retouching ContentAware Move, ContentAware Fill, Spot Healing Brush for kind of automated smaller areas. You can brush longer strokes with it, but yeah, it's more for smaller areas. The Healing Brush gives you more control. You have to say where you're going to sample from with that one. The Patch tool lets you copy and paste from larger areas, kind of like using the Healing Brush over a larger area. It's kind of like what that one's like. And then the Clone Stamp tool is going to copy everything. It's really going to copy all the textures and colors and brightnesses and not try to fudge it for you. It's really going to be just copying in pixels from one area to another. But combination of those tools will get you through a lot of stuff. Obviously, some things are harder than others, right? If you have a clean background in a certain area, it's going to be easier to use than if you have a bunch of stuff going on and overlapping elements and things like that. But hopefully that helps with some retouching, and I will talk to you again next time.